Hello, friends. Thank you for being here for a summary and analysis of Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour. But first, if this video helped you or if you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to be able to keep supporting you all. If you have any requests for short stories or poetry or summaries and analyses, please let me know in the comments. And just dropping a comment to say thanks or hi also greatly helps me out. Feel free to ask me any questions related to your homework that you think I can help with. Stay lit with Simply Lit. I'll first go over the summary of the story, then I'll go over a thematic analysis, and then, to wrap us up, a character analysis. Summary. Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour is set in the late 19th century, a time when societal expectations for women were particularly rigid. Louise Mallard, the protagonist, is portrayed as a woman who feels trapped within the confines of her marriage. The news of her husband's death initially triggers a predictable response of grief, but as she processes the news alone in her room, a more complex range of emotions unfold. Louise's moments of introspection are filled with a mix of conflicting feelings. She experiences a sense of relief at the prospect of being free from the responsibilities and limitations of marriage. This feeling of liberation is juxtaposed with moments of guilt as she grapples with the societal expectation that she should mourn her husband's death conventionally. Chopin employs rich imagery and symbolism throughout the story to convey Louise's emotional journey. The open window in Louise's room becomes a powerful symbol of both freedom and confinement. As she gazes out the window, Louise envisions a future filled with endless possibilities, yet she also feels trapped by the expectations of society. The story also touches on themes of gender roles and societal expectations. Louise's desire for independence and self-fulfillment challenges the traditional notion of a woman's role as a wife and caregiver. Chopin subtly critiques the institution of marriage and the limitations it imposes on women, even in ostensibly loving relationships. The climax of the story occurs when Louise descends the stairs from her room, feeling a newfound sense of freedom and empowerment. However, her moment of triumph is short-lived when her husband, Brentley Mallard, unexpectedly returns home alive. The shock of his appearance causes Louise to collapse and die, her dreams of freedom shattered in an instant. The abrupt and tragic ending of the story leaves the reader with a profound sense of irony. Louise's brief glimpse of freedom is cruelly snatched away, underscoring the fragility of human existence and the unpredictable nature of life. In conclusion, The Story of an Hour is an exploration of the complexities of human emotions and the societal constraints placed upon women in the late 19th century, and even today in some respects. Through Louise Mallard's poignant journey of self-discovery and ultimate tragedy, Kate Chopin invites the readers to reflect on the nature of freedom, marriage, and the pursuit of individual happiness. Thematic analysis. The story's themes. The Story of an Hour is rich with themes that explores the complexity of human emotions, societal expectations, and the quest for personal freedom. Theme 1. Freedom versus confinement. Louise Mallard's initial reaction to the news of her husband's death is of grief, as expected. However, as she retreats to her room, her emotions begin to shift. She experiences a sense of freedom and liberation, symbolized by the open window and the imagery of spring outside. This contrast between the confinement of her marriage and the freedom of her newfound independence is central to the story. The brief moment of freedom she experiences highlights the suffocating nature of her marital and societal constraints. Theme 2. The oppressive nature of marriage. Chopin uses Louise's reflections on her marriage to critique the institution itself. Despite her husband's presumed love and care, Louise feels confined within the marriage. She describes moments of repression and subjugation, suggesting that her role as a wife is restrictive and stifling. Through Louise's perspective, Chopin exposes the limitations imposed on women within patriarchal marital relationships. Theme 3. Individual autonomy versus social expectations. Louise's internal conflict reflects the tension between individual autonomy and societal expectations. While she yearns for freedom and self-fulfillment, she also feels the weight of societal norms and expectations. Her brief moment of liberation is tinged with guilt as she grapples with the societal pressure to conform to traditional gender roles. Chopin highlights the struggle between personal desires and external expectations, particularly for women in a patriarchal society. Theme 4: Irony and Foreshadowing. Throughout the story, Chopin employs irony and foreshadowing to heighten its thematic impact. Louise's initial reaction of grief is quickly overshadowed by a sense of liberation, only to be tragically cut short by her husband's unexpected return. The irony of her joy that kills underscores the unpredictability and paradoxical nature of human emotions. The foreshadowing of Louise's fate adds layers of complexity to the story, highlighting the inevitability of her tragic ending. Theme 5: Feminism and Female Identity. The Story of an Hour is often interpreted as a feminist text that explores the complexities of female identity and agency. Louise's brief moment of freedom serves as a powerful assertion of her autonomy and individuality in a patriarchal society. Chopin challenges traditional gender roles and societal expectations, presenting Louise as a complex and multidimensional character who defies categorization. Through Louise's internal struggle and ultimate demise, Chopin highlights the limitations imposed on women's lives and the need for greater autonomy and self-determination. Overall, The Story of an Hour delves into these timeless themes of freedom, marriage, and the pursuit of individual happiness. And these themes continue to resonate with readers today, which is what makes it such a critical work in American literature. Now for our character analysis. So let's look at some key figures from The Story of an Hour. Character 1, Louise Mallard. Louise Mallard is the protagonist of the story and serves as the focal point for Chopin's exploration of themes such as freedom, confinement, and female identity. At the beginning of the story, Louise is portrayed as a woman with a weak heart who receives the news of her husband's death with predictable grief. However, as she retreats to her room to process her emotions, a more complex and nuanced character emerges. Louise experiences a range of conflicting emotions from sorrow to a sudden sense of liberation upon contemplating life without her husband. This moment of freedom represents a turning point for Louise, as she begins to envision a future filled with possibilities. However, her newfound sense of independence is tragically cut short when her husband returns home alive, leading to her sudden demise. Louise's character serves as a symbol of the struggle for autonomy and self-fulfillment within the constraints of marriage and societal expectations. Character 2, Bentley Mallard. Bentley Mallard is Louise's husband, whose reported death sets the events of the story in motion. Although he is not a prominent presence in the narrative, Bentley's perceived demise serves as a catalyst for Louise's internal journey. He is depicted as a caring husband, but his absence allows Louise the space to contemplate her own desires and aspirations. Bentley's unexpected return at the end of the story shatters Louise's newfound sense of freedom, highlighting the suffocating nature of societal expectations and limitations of marriage. Character 3, Josephine. Josephine is Louise's sister who is tasked with breaking the news of Bentley's demise to her. She is depicted as a caring, concerned sibling, deeply worried about Louise's fragile health. Josephine's presence in the story provides insight into Louise's familial relationships and serves as a foil to Louise's internal struggles. While Josephine represents the protective and nurturing side of familial bonds, Louise yearns for a level of independence and autonomy beyond traditional familial roles. Character 4, Richards. Richards is a friend of Bentley Mallard who learns of his death and rushes to inform Louise. He is depicted as well-meaning but somewhat oblivious to the emotional complexities of the situation. Richards' role in the story is primarily as a messenger, delivering the news that sets the narrative in motion. However, his presence underscores the broader social dynamics in the way in which news of Bentley's demise reverberates through the community. These characters interact within the confines of societal norms and expectations, with Louise's internal struggle serving as the focal point of the narrative. Through the characters of Louise, Bentley, Josephine, and Richards, Chopin explores themes of freedom, confinement, and the complexities of marriage and female identity in the late 19th century. If this video helped you, or if you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to be able to keep supporting you all. If you have any requests for short stories or poetry or summaries and analyses, please let me know in the comments. And just dropping a comment to say thanks or hi also greatly helps me out. Feel free to ask me any questions related to your homework that you think I can help with. Stay lit with Simply Lit.